The Space Traveling Warriors mission for the GT Legendary Goku event is finally complete. Took us some time to beat this mission just because we had some awful RNG. As you can see, this is the team I was rocking to beat this event. We had the STR Dokkan Bojack. We used him as the leader and as the friend. We used the two free-to-play Friezas, the Prime Battle one, and the one that's used to unlock the Prime Battle one, who's especially good at taking care of Goku family enemies, which the whole event is Goku's family, so he is a absolute beast that you'll see when we start getting into the gameplay. Cooler, of course, he loves knocking out those pure Saiyans and hybrid Saiyans. Then we have LR Bojack, definitely one of the best linking partners with the STR Bojack. And then we have the EZA Phy Vegeta, who came out a couple weeks ago and got his EZA. He's definitely a beast in this event. I must have pulled a couple more copies of him when I was summoning on the GT banners, because I don't remember him being this strong when I did my showcase, because right now he's at 90% and he is an absolute monster in this event. So I'm gonna go over a little bit of a team building guide before we jump in. If you guys just want to jump to the gameplay, I should have the time to jump to right about here, and it'll be linked in the description. So if you guys just want to skip through this team building guide and then go right into the gameplay, feel free. Not, and you want to stick around for this, I'll see you other guys then. So this is the team I basically used to beat this event. I kind of switched out Prime Battle Frieza a little bit with different units just to play around when it wasn't working, but ultimately I kept going back to him just because of how hard he hits. He definitely, if he crits, will just knock down Goku's HP probably till about half. Once you get in the later stages, he'll knock off at least one full bar, which once you get into the Int Super Saiyan 4 and then the Tech Super Saiyan 4, it's definitely going to come helpful. He also gets Ki for being the first or third slot, and he's actually not a bad tank, so he'll be able to hold his own as long as you're not getting supered by the AGL Goku. You should be okay with this Frieza. Granted, he was a floater, so you don't have to worry about him too much. The rotations were the STR Bojack, one of them. I transformed him, and he linked up with the LR Bojack. And then I had either it was my unit or the friend unit untransformed, just floating, giving support. The other two rotations were Int Frieza matched up with the Physical Vegeta. They link up actually fairly well, better than you would expect. I would stick the Frieza in the first slot because he guards against all attacks, and then gives Ki when there's a Goku's family enemy, and then reduces damage by 50% when guard is activated. So he's going to be a pretty good first slot defender and can tank all those attacks you'd be getting in the first slot. Vegeta greatly raises his attack and raises his defense, so his defense is not going to be like insane, but you're gonna want him because of the raising attack, because once you get into like turn 15, he's gonna hit insanely hard, and if you're getting crits with him, it's gonna be lights out essentially. And he gets Ki for the start of turn and attack with 70% when there's a Goku's family enemy, plus, and then the rest of his passive. So he's definitely a great character to bring along on this event. Now, let's say you don't have the Bojack for whatever reason. Again, I highly recommend picking up coins once he comes back around. But if you don't have the Bojack, some alternate teams you could run. So I think I already have it set up. Right, so you have the Space Traveling Warriors, which is the mission requirement. You need 6 units. And then you could also use Terrifying Conquerors. So hypothetically, let's get rid of the Bojack. You would use Cooler as the leader because, again, he gives Terrifying Conquerors, Ki +3, HP 130, and then attack and defense 170. So ultimately, you could run Cooler as the friend and leader skill. Also, or you could just run Cooler as the leader, and then if you have a Bojack as the friend, you could also do that as well. But pretty much it's going to be the same characters under the Cooler lead skill, so you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. Like, you could put in this physical Cooler. I don't know how good his defense is going to be, but he's going to ultimately get 2 or 3 supers because of the Goku's family enemy. So if he's getting crits, especially in that end stage, he's going to help you out a lot. He might be a little bit of a defensive liability, but if you can protect him, he should be pretty good. Who else? Raditz, I don't think will be good in this event, just because I think he gets his buff from having 2 or more enemies. So he gets his buff from facing 1 enemy, and then stuns and reduces damage when facing 2 enemies. So he doesn't get his damage reduction when he faces 1 enemy, which is not the best. Oh, that's the SSR I pulled. Not the best. I mean, he sits at 10k defense. He wouldn't be maybe terrible to run in this event, but again, I haven't really tested him out enough to say whether you should bring him or not. Of course, you have the AoE Frieza, the free-to-play. I think that would be it. Some substitutes you could use. I wouldn't bring in Baby just because he doesn't have enough defense to tank at all, really, and he'll get slapped real hard by the last stage. Same with the 8-bit Vegeta. While I really like this unit, I just don't think he would last in the last stage at all. Let's see. Of course, if you have Turtles and you did like a single on him or did a multi and pulled him, he potentially could be pretty good. He hits very hard. Again, I don't know how his defense would stack up, but if you could shield him, maybe he might link up well with the Bojack, or you could stick him with the stacking Vegeta, and they probably would link up fairly well, given that they're 2 Saiyans on the same rotation. So that's my thoughts for the team building, just in case you guys need some substitutes. So we're going to jump into some of the gameplay. All right, so now we're jumping into the gameplay portion of the video. So our rotations are not looking too terrible. We have Vegeta in the 7th slot, but we're gonna have to start floating off the Bojacks to get them on the 2nd rotation. It's going to be the LR Bojack and one of the STR Bojacks on the 2nd rotation. So of course we're gonna stick Frieza up front because of this damage reduction and his ability to guard against a Goku family unit. So he's going to be tanking throughout this whole event. LR Bojack actually is pretty good in this event. He's a little bit of an older unit, but he still can put up very good damage numbers. And let's see how well he tanks. So honestly, it's the first stage, but 131k is not great, but it's not terrible. As you can see, we have a lot of HP, 511,000 HP in this event. For this section right now, until we get our rotations correct, we're going to stick Prime Battle Frieza, mostly because I wanted to stick him up front because he'll get the extra key, and we're just going to wipe this Goku out with any sort of real attack. So let's see how much damage Frieza puts out. 6 million crit. This Frieza is unbelievable. Honestly, he's one of my favorite free-to-play units to get in EZA because of the amount of damage he does, and he's a pretty good tank. So now our rotations are almost correct. Stick again Frieza up front, even though we're being attacked by a physical unit, and we'll get Vegeta some of his stacks to start building up his defense and his attack. So Frieza does decent damage, but not on this stage just because he's going up against a physical typing unit. And let's see what Vegeta can do right off the bat. 1.47 with no stacks on him. It's pretty good. So he does get supered. He takes 136k. Not the best, but again, he's only stacked one time, so you can't expect him to really tank that well. Okay, so the rotations are looking a little bit better now. Honestly, I think we'll be okay getting these two orbs. So remember, if you're running Prime Battle Frieza, that he does get key in the first and third rotation or slots. So you shouldn't be worried too much about him not supering. So right there, he got his 12 key. And he put about 2.7 million. So he's going to tear down Goku pretty quickly in the first event. And honestly, I didn't think we were going to be able to beat this run, because if you've been paying attention, we just got supered twice by this Goku, and then we got supered once from the STR Goku. So we've gotten supered 3 times already, which usually when that happens, it's a dead run. Like your HP's, you have a quarter left. I'm probably like, okay, let me just see if I can just finish out the event. But we got pretty lucky in this rotation because he supers right here to Frieza, who only takes 32k. And honestly, if he would have supered throughout, like in the middle slot, we would have been dead. Or in the back end, we also would have been dead. So Frieza pretty much saved this little run right here because he was able to tank. And now we got Vegeta. Vegeta actually will start hitting a lot harder once you get him a couple stacks under his belt. And so he actually can put a hurt once you start getting into the later stages. He is a little bit of a liability once you get to Golden Arzaru stage, but you're going to need him because he will build up his defense, and you don't really have to worry about him once you get to the end stage because he's going to single-handedly pretty much take down in Goku. So now that we have the transformation on STR Bojack, he's going to start stacking his attack. And I was a little worried given our health, given that we have 2 STR units on this stage. Honestly, this AGL Goku is what gives me the most trouble besides Golden Arzaru, because I find myself bringing more heavy STR units to stay away from the AGL side of things, because in the last stage you pretty much get destroyed if you bring an AGL unit. But that's why I kind of bring more STR units, especially in the extreme class. Dokkan seems to give us way more STR units and make them extremely powerful for whatever reason. I think they just like that typing and just keep pumping out great units for that typing. They really need to start working on that extreme tech, because honestly, extreme tech is probably the worst extreme typing and needs the most help. But back to the gameplay, went off on a little bit of a tangent. So Frieza's taking double digits, which is amazing in this event, and he puts up decent damage numbers. Vegeta is up to 3 million attack and starts getting the crit. Yes, the double super coming in to finish him off. Finished him off. Now, if you can't tell, I'm recording over this gameplay just because if I did it every time I died, I probably would have been maybe about 10 or 15 times saying the same thing over and over. So this is all pre-recorded. So we're just doing a little bit of a live feedback to this. Got a pretty decent health regeneration with this group, because I believe the links in Bojack will allow you to regenerate a little bit. It's not going to be like the Majin Buu team where they're just like healing back half your health, but you're getting a little bit of regeneration from running these Bojack units. And he dodged. But we got the dodge back. That is the most disheartening thing, I think, in one of these events, is when you're praying for a crit, trying to hold on, and he just dodges. I've had that happen to me a couple times where it's been like, I was like, all right, this is gonna be lights out for this unit, and then dodge kicks in, and you're like, well, now I'm completely screwed. So we're gonna stick Vegeta up front, and then get the Dokkan attack with him, because I think he would hit harder and heal us a lot more than Frieza would in the first slot. Honestly, probably if I could have got the Dokkan attack with Prime Battle Frieza in the last slot, and we probably would have covered all HP and smoked this Goku, but I didn't want to throw off this rotation, because those two units, while they don't link up incredibly well together, they're able to consistently get their 12 key, I'd say about 90% of the time. So we got a crit with the Frieza, which also didn't really do that much. Got super attack, 45k. Again, that's also type disadvantage. And we're looking at his 18 key attack from Prime Battle. See how much that does. 3.3 million. So definitely want to bring this Frieza along. Even though he does have some shortcomings towards the later stages, he definitely will help you whittle down the enemy a lot quicker than another unit you possibly could bring. So hopefully you guys have this guy fully EZA'd 100% in the hidden potential system, because he will definitely help you out. And I transformed with Cooler this turn. Cooler will lose his support ability, but he'll be able to help you by getting guaranteed crits. And that's what I was thinking of, because once you get to that Golden Azaru stage, you're gonna want to start getting guaranteed crits and stronger attacks to try to push through their HP and not make you stay in the event longer, because by staying in longer, I know this might be common sense, but you have more chances of getting supered and you just losing the battle to a random super attack in a slot that you didn't know was coming and could prepare for. So that's why Cooler, while he might be a defensive liability, will help you start whittling down their HP a lot quicker than if he stayed in his pre-transformed mode. So we're getting lucky in this stage, because Golden Azaru attacks a whole bunch in the first slot, and as you can see, Frieza tanked a super attack from him for 64k. Not many units in this game can do that. So that's why this Frieza is very good to bring along if you guys have him. And hopefully you guys do, because you would needed him to unlock Prime Battle Frieza. So Bojack is going to get attacked in the last slot. So let's see how well he does. Fairly well. So this rotation scared me a little bit, because I didn't know how well these units would have tanked against these attacks. 177k and 184k defense. I just didn't know if they'd be able to withstand the damage, but kind of went into it thinking, well, we're gonna try it out. I mean, if we lose, we lose, but I just want to see how well they tank. So Bojack gets a double super. He was able to crit the first attack, praying for another crit. We need to get out of this stage. Doesn't, and we're down to only one health bar of Golden Azaru. And LR comes in. All right, about 1 million, and they're not tanking that great for normal attacks, 46k, but we're able to get out of there with not getting supered that turn, because we would have got supered, game over, have to do the run again. Also did not like this turn either, because Cooler's getting supered in the back. So fortunately we had to activate one of our items fairly early on, You think turn 13 is fairly early on, but in this stage it is. And of course, he would have done that much damage even if he hit in Frieza, but it's just the fact that you activate one of your items and he dodges. It's like Dokkan's literally screwing you and saying, okay, you want to activate your item? Have fun. You're going to dodge anyway. Joke's on you. But we had to activate the item for this Cooler. And it's kind of funny that Cooler is taking the Golozaurus sprite and slamming him into a wall and smashing him down to the ground. So like with an Android 8 active, he's still doing 50k. If we didn't activate the Android 8, he probably would have been doing well over 100k on normal attacks. Not to mention we got supered. Even with the Android 8, we probably would have died. So Android 8 still active. We're probably good in this rotation, given that their defense was sitting about 150 to almost 200k. So they should be fairly good, like taking double digits. So Bojack transformed is pretty good. If he would have raised attack and defense, he would have just been an absolute monster. But raising attack each turn, so he keeps building up. So the damage he's going to do later on will be helpful to us, considering that there's no more physical units. And physical Vegeta wasn't getting crits either, but he also has type disadvantage against Golozaru. So luckily we only took the supers against Frieza and not in a stage like again in the first slot, because if we would have took a super towards the back end, we would have died. And luckily Golozaru either attacked first slot or second slot. He never attacked in the back end. So as you can see, Vegeta is also keeps increasing that attack. He's putting in work. So against a STR type unit, that's pretty good damage. So this is the enemy that where Vegeta is going to really shine, I would say. So here I'm just looking for one orb just because I want to try to get LR Bojack his 18 key. And then see, look, they're both at the same defense. And then Cooler is in the back end. He's getting a couple attacks. So we're trying to get a little bit more health and build up that Dokkan attack towards the end. So taking 18k off a normal attack is not great, but it's also, you'd like to see maybe like 10k. I think I would have felt a lot more comfortable because I don't know how well Cooler is going to be able to tank towards the back end, especially if he gets supered. So LR Bojack doing his thing, doing some decent damage, about a mil, taking for about 13-14k, which isn't terrible. Better than what some of the other units have been tanking. And this is why we brought along Cooler, because he's getting those guaranteed crits. So 1.5, again, doing real good damage. He had additional normal, and again, another crit. Taking 38k, which actually is a lot better than I thought he was going to tank, because I thought he probably would have been taking maybe 70-80k. So Vegeta is almost at 300k defense, not getting supered in the middle, but we do have to worry about the attacks coming towards the back. So get a little bit of healing, start building up that Dokkan attack. And I think we have to activate a Whis. Yes, we do. Because those attacks, there's a bunch of attacks in the back end, and I think he probably would have killed us, but maybe not in hindsight, because if he supers in the beginning like he just did, which maybe if he supered without a Whis, he probably would have did maybe 30-40k. Just I don't know how much more damage a normal would have took or would have done to us on STR Bojack without an item. So Vegeta has been greatly raising his attack this whole time and puts out a 4 million crit with the double super. Let's get it. How much damage this does? Another 3 mil. So he just did about 7 mil damage to that Goku, taking his health way down. See, that's why you're gonna bring this Vegeta, because in this stage he single-handedly pretty much took down about 3/4 of this guy's health in one turn. which is great because it leaves us a lot more time to possibly maybe get the Dokkan attack towards the Super Saiyan 4 full power Goku, because you really want that attack, especially when you have LR Bojack. If you can somehow manage it to get the Dokkan attack with LR Bojack, if you have that unit against Super Saiyan 4 Tech Goku, because he'll do some serious damage against him. I think mine is only 69%, so it's not like he's like that much stronger than a 55% unit. So let's keep that in mind. If you don't have them, not the end of the world. You still can beat this event without LR Bojack. So we're doing pretty good damage. STR Bojack has had some time to build up that attack and do some significant damage. See what Prime Battle Frieza is going to do. We've been getting so many crits, 2.5 million, which is awesome against this in Goku, and we kind of flew through that. I think that only took us maybe 3 or 4 turns. Usually it takes me like 5 or 6 or 7 turns given the typing. So this team has now type advantage against this Goku because 1, we don't have an AGL unit, and 2, we have 2 int units. So Frieza's not able to super, although it's really not going to matter too much because Frieza is not going to output crazy damage, but he'll be able to tank. And the reason why we activated the Whis is 1, because of Cooler in the back end, so we need to protect Cooler because his defense is not going to stand up to him. We get supered in the front, which is awesome. So we tank that, and we're getting the Dokkan attack with a Vegeta that's been building up from, was it turn 3 his attack? So let's see how much damage this does. Oh man, I need to get better on my tapping skills for that second thing, because I always think it's going to go slow because most of mine have been going slow, and then just speeds through and you skip it. Okay, so let's see how much damage this does. Got like on, let's see, 5.3 million. So it took down about 2 health bars, which you might not think that's a lot, but against this Goku, it's a lot. Getting 2 health bars down is crazy. And then you get the guaranteed crit from Cooler. I would have loved if you would have got at least 1 more like super against him, because it probably would have took down another health bar. But Cooler was not getting the double supers for us. He was getting the additional normal attacks, which were critting because of his passive, but double super every now and then would have been nice. So this rotation, I took the LR Bojack, stuck him up front. 1, because we have a Whis active, but there's a whole bunch of attacks coming up front, and he has type advantage. So I figured it'd probably be better off if we stuck him up front. Before, we were just kept sticking STR Bojack up front. So we took a super again in the front, kept getting supered in the first slot, which was always good because you expect to get supered in the first slot. So this actually surprised me. He took a 100k with the Whis active and type advantage against Goku. I thought maybe he would be taking 50 to almost double digits, but that just shows how strong this Goku is with a unit that doesn't have damage reduction or a built-up defense. So keep that in mind when you're running this team. Goku does have the ability to, even against your strongest unit, super for 100k, except if it's going against Frieza, because of his guard and damage reduction, which is probably the strongest 2 abilities for your defense in this whole entire game. Now, I was checking his defense because his defense went down. I think the last time I checked it, I had an Android 8 active, but so Vegeta's defense is not the highest it should be, but at the same time, he greatly raises attack, so his defense is not building up as it would if it was like the Tech Goku, who greatly raises defense and then raises his attack consistently. So 5.2 million from the Vegeta, gets a 1.5 million crit and taking double digits. So apparently his defense has been built up enough. 18 key super, from Prime Battle Frieza is going to do how much? 1.5. We're just taking 1.5 millions right off this Goku. And as you can see, he's at half health. And we're on turn 22, which is about normal, I would say, compared to the other runs I've done. The fastest one I think we did is when we took on with Giant 8 Power. And I used the new Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. That was the quickest run I've ever did because of how powerful his units are. So that video is coming out shortly, so stay tuned for that. And we took quite a bit of damage just now because I don't believe we have an item active. And we got at least supered from the Int Bojack. So I'm glad he tanked that instead of one of the other units. So we have about 300k. Bojack, the STR, is only taking double digits, which actually surprised me. And this was very frustrating because he dodged the guaranteed super crit, which would have took him down some more. And Cooler took double digits, which I still don't know how that's possible, but hey, I'll take it. So at this point, I'm fairly confident, and Vegeta's defense shot back up. I'm fairly confident we have this in the bag because I'm pretty sure Vegeta will at least take him down almost a full 1 bar left. So Vegeta's at 6.2 million. And he does 1.9 damage, leaving with half health. And Vegeta takes the super, which then starts worrying me a little bit of how much damage it's going to do. 15k. You hate seeing that super attack because you don't know how much damage it's actually going to do until you've got supered with that same unit before. I've never been supered with Vegeta or had a super come out on Vegeta, or however you word that, but that's pretty impressive. So this is pretty much in the bag. The only thing I was worried about was him supering right away, and he doesn't, because if he supered us right away, we probably would have died. And so now Bojack is going to come in and clinch it for us, and he's done. So the Space Traveling Warriors mission is now complete. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. Comment on this video if you guys are having trouble finishing this mission, or what team you guys used to wipe out this mission, because I'm going to try it again and I kind of want to try it with different teams. So let me know down in the comments if you guys used a different team to beat this. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. We're going to try to get to 100 subscribers. Still fairly new, still grinding. So I appreciate you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.